Do you ever do this in iOS? You always send it. Do you have to always do this to fix your like downloading? I always have to make a symbolic link from my but yeah, it's weird.
No,
I have to like run. I just go in if you guys you have to then run.
I don't like that moving through either.
How would you do that?
I just drop the binary down on the
I do.
and then set my variables.
Yeah, like this, right? Like, pseudo alternatives.
No processing base there. No package base. Yeah.
What's your username?
I don't know. I've always done it. I never really did it.
Maybe that'll.
But yeah, I was wondering because it does.
Now that's where you can run versions of Java and just change your parameters, which is what it means.
So it still says 0 viewers.
I think even the boot you leave it.
Did you send the invite to yourself?
Yes.
So maybe that.
Oh yeah, so it's easy to install the
Say
non-standard
live.
like the OpenJDK.
So actually, as you can see
But
it.
this is the local so you can still do what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. So we're running.
Oh, there you are.
We had a separate line, but it wasn't, it's hard to get the levels.
Much the way it should.
Hey, how you doing?
Huh.
Nice to see you.
Doing great.
Hey, Wheaton. How you doing? Thanks for coming. Trying to. Make you a presenter. That's the.
Yeah.
There's pizza and beer and drinks and I think there's a chair.
Like, now there's no viewers.
It's strange because
You're
I
getting more and more
see you.
It's like lagged.
Execution delay.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Last
Matt,
time I
did you
asked
have a
her, she
long
wasn't gonna
drive?
come. She said she has to take care of
Traffic
something.
was brutal, wasn't it? Did you trip over Justin? I almost tripped over Justin, I'm telling you, it's really bad.
I think I.
No, there's one viewer again.
Kitty cat.
Yeah, really.
Oh, there you go. It's growing. It's crazy.
Remember Phil Hoyle? Remember Phil Hoyle in England?
Yeah.
He's leaving at the end of this month.
Oh, there.
He's gonna go, basically gonna go with some start guys for a little while and then do something outside of that.
You know that? Okay.
Adam Blakey says he took Mars. I know.
Oh, really?
Google Hangout.
And we don't have anybody in the bench that does what Adam does. So that's gonna hurt pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually make it really good.
You know,
Is it working?
I really,
Nope.
you know,
The problem is.
you know, the design.
Yeah. Well, that it's treated just like about kind of the vision of the product and how it
It was-
evolves and when it evolves.
Yeah.
It is a lot, you know. Yeah. I mean, he's left a roadmap out, but that means very little because, you know, with really nobody to take his place.
See me?
Like,
Oh, there you are. Yeah, just turn your mic off.
There we go. But I'm really happy for both of them.
So let's see, there's gonna be a lag. I'm gonna log into it from over here.
You remember Sean Denton?
Yeah.
So he's with us now. He's actually
Oh,
city consulting and actually works with us now.
okay.
I thought I would never see the day he did that.
Yeah, I think it's a learn stuff about it.
Yeah, he really is. He's been very, very good for us if he came along. Depending on how long you'll stay, but if he stays at least a year, I mean, that'll be.
Get started and kick it off.
Okay, we'll get
Awesome.
going in about 5 minutes. So if you want another piece of pizza, whatever, another beer, get up and get it now.
You kind of have it babysitted, I noticed, because when Ken was on, I had to babysit it, because he would lose the connection sometimes, or audio would go away, or weird things like that.
I imagine if you have Google Fiber.
Yeah, which
You know, we have
We're sure
a
on,
work from home policy now,
We're on day.
5 days a week.
Fiber.
I wish I had one.
Well, you need a developer.
One of the reasons why Google Fiber hasn't gone down because they would have to go through Shady Court. Is it Shady? How long is it part of the city? They wouldn't have to take that from the city like they have been put in a central city, so they're like, yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so I know one thing I did recently, like in people's kids, like.
My neighborhood's right on the border. I mean, it is the
Inside of it. to include
last
a dot
neighborhood,
dash,
last road,
And then that way they keep all their
coverage
in that one file.
and it's been on coming soon.
Yeah.
If you don't have a lot of them, you can use it.
No, I was
I'm all
curious,
but give it
like,
up.
what-
I'll switch to it
I mean, I used to
immediately
just
if it shows up.
They haven't gone south of Benoit yet.
Same thing with.
Oh, they went on 35.
I learned that's how a lot of people, like.
It's not coming from your
Coffee shop I was getting.
machine, it's still coming from.
That is over like,
It had my
Westgate
AWS credentials
area
in it.
and then like.
So now
We got
I was
audio.
Googling it, I find out a lot of people do that, they'll create.
Audio but no video?
AWS.
Well, we're trying to share, have him present.
That way, in case they do need other guys to see, they don't have to. open it
But
up.
it's showing my
It's kind of neat
It's fast.
way of-
Does he have a microphone?
I mean, it makes sense, not like if it's new or anything.
Yours is it's slower, but it's. Oh.
maybe if I hide this. I don't know.
It's very late.
Oh, weird, still shows you.
What's been going on? It's good. Be busy.
Do you have the,
Oh, yeah? You just got back?
Yeah, just come back and that's just.
Oh, wow. So how was that? How was the trip?
It's very good. I mean,
So that's why you were busy. You were busy traveling.
yeah.
What if you stop sharing your desktop?
Yeah, as soon as I come back.
Oh, okay. Who you catching up?
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, look, I can just switch
Who
between.
all the channel here?
I see. Okay, we'll just flip between the two.
Okay, but do you hear my voice?
Yeah, because you'll use the microphone on here, I believe. I was getting audio. I'll double check it when we start. I've got my, I'm logging over there with some headphones. Okay. Double check
Were you
it.
over there with they had the
We'll just give it 3 more minutes. 45. Rolling.
Oh no, yeah, I saw that crater. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Like, size.
Yeah, it's like really explosion. And unfortunately, most chemicals were not.
Still there.
700 tons.
Oh, you checked it? Yeah. Can you hear audio? I didn't want to. Oh, feedback. No feedback. Yep.
But it didn't explode.
Yeah.
So it could have
700
been.
tons.
Yeah. No, I mean, we, this year, we had that explosion up in, like, Dallas. Same thing, I don't know the story is, the thing is, like, in Dallas is because they had too much chemicals there that they shouldn't have. That's what they're saying, the same thing happened in China, there was just too many, there was too much stuff there.
And I heard 2 years ago that
I mean, Texas City had a crazy big explosion, like, cities that explode that stuff, that they explode stuff.
Yep, those blue ones.
That makes it all okay.
because they were not aware.
They didn't know that.
Yeah, they did not
Well, I mean, that's why, it's like, you can go into these areas and fire because
All right, let's get the show on the road. Let's go ahead and kick this off. I didn't introduce myself, but I'm Rob, in case anybody forgot my name. This is Ryan. We try to run the Austin Groovy and Grails users group here. We're more than welcome to go to other venues if you know a great place, or if you know somebody who would like to help sponsor the meetup, please point them to us. That would be fantastic.
That'd be great. We just use this place out of convenience because it's always here and we don't have to book it usually. So, but if we get a much bigger crowd than this, it gets a little tight. But if some other people have hosted meetups at their work before, you're open to doing that, just let us know.
Cool. So this is ReachForce. I don't know if you know anything about ReachForce. We do, I'm gonna let Ryan give the elevator pitch. What do we do?
Oh, thanks. We do software to help marketing automation work better. So
We're like a big data company that specializes in processing marketing data.
anything with B2B leads and contacts and companies, we process all of that data out of your marketing automation system or your CRM system, enrich it, fix all the problems with it, and put it all back, and then give you some analytics on that. So
And more
in a nutshell,
importantly,
that's what we do.
more importantly, we're a Groovy and Grails shop, so that's important to you guys.
Yeah, and we are hiring, so they did pay for the food tonight, so I guess we get the 5 minutes, so that's why we're saying. We're hiring technical implementation consultants and customer success managers, or basically people that work with the clients, get them implemented. And with the technical person of actually doing and configuring the software on our SaaS product for a customer. So that's the ReachForce blurbs. As far as news, apologies, we didn't have a meeting last in July. It was great conf, and I was speaking, and I was super overwhelmed. So
I was out of town.
and Rob was in Italy on a beach somewhere. So we didn't. We'll try to get one to after Spring 1.2 GX probably next month. So that's one of the news items. Is next month is Spring 1.2 GX. Last month was Great Conf. I don't know. I don't think I saw anyone from Texas there. Was anyone at Great Conf in Minneapolis last month? It was a really good show. There was a lot of good talks. I had a lot of the time. I was really tough decision to pick which one for each time slot. There were really, really good speakers there, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff in Minneapolis. The Smart Things guy did a workshop on doing Internet of Things with your house through their platform, and it's all Groovy based, and they have a Groovy DSL. It was neat. I did a Lego workshop that you all have probably seen before. There was lots of neat Android stuff. Really cool. Most of those talks are shared online on YouTube, so they have a channel. I think it's just called GreatConf out on YouTube. You can find all the talks there. Or if you search for the hashtag #GreatConf, you'll find them all on Twitter. So they recorded everything, and the recordings went swimmingly. So there's a lot of good content you can watch. Next month is Spring 1.2 GX. Is anyone here going to that? And it's in DC.
I used to be, that was at one time the big conference, the big Groovy and Grails conference.
Yeah, we don't know how long they're going to keep doing it, since Pivotal and Grails are kind of split. There was a lot of good news though at the GreatConf. The OCI people that are now sponsoring Grails showed up. They said Grails is here to stay. We're backing this all the way. They've actually have more engineers working on Grails, I think, than they've ever had of actual employed people working on mostly Grails 3, and then they're doing patches for 2.5 and stuff. So there's a lot of momentum gaining in there. And it's company OCI is based out of St. Louis. They're also consultants. So if you need anyone by the hour that's on the core Grails team to help you, you can just pay them by the hour to OCI, and they'll make them available to you. That's something that apparently the Pivotal didn't really offer to anyone. They didn't offer the Grails team to be available for contract help. And they are doing that with OCI. So some of those guys work on Grails and work with clients. It depends, but they've got a lot of good people there. Colin Harrington works there now. Jeff Brown, Graham Roche, and Kevin Klein, who's one of the No Fluff stuff. He's been on a speaker on there for a while. I don't know if he is currently, but he had been for many years. He's also working on Grails, so it's a pretty good deal. Any other news items that we have?
Anybody been to a conference or know of a conference coming up? Anybody go to the Linux conference?
Yeah, I went to Linux Fest.
Linux Fest?
It was a good event. Saturday was a really good showing. It conflicted with LinuxCon, which was up in Seattle, so there were some issues with that. So you didn't see as many polished speakers on Friday as you did
Saturday. Well, it's only $55, so that's kind of a steal.
Yes, very good.
It's basically free.
Texas JS, it was pretty good.
Oh yeah?
They talked a little bit too much about CSS, but yeah, it was decent.
Was that here in Austin?
Yeah, it was in Austin. Downtown, yeah.
There was also a Midwest JS last month, or maybe earlier this month, that they had in Minneapolis, another big JavaScript conference. It's actually put on by the same guys that did the GreatConf US. But I heard there's good stuff, but it's not exactly my realm right now. So I mostly follow DevOps things and Groovy Grails things. Welcome.
Welcome, come on.
Help yourself to some pizza or some drinks.
Pizza and drinks, and find a chair.
Right. Well, our speaker here, Vlad, as it goes by, where are you at? He's right here.
And before you do that, I see a few new faces.
Is anyone here? Is their first time here?
Yeah, can you just say who you are and start with you, who you are, and where do you work, and whatever you want to say about yourself.
My name is Abhilash. I'm working here for HP as a Java consultant here. So I moved from New Jersey and in Austin for almost a couple of years.
Cool.
Awesome.
Are you interested in Groovy or Grails?
Actually, I have exposure to Groovy and Grails.
Yeah.
So, but I'm more into a Java development, software development, but I want to get into Groovy and Grails as well.
Cool. Very good. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hector, work at a company here, Uladzimir Technologies, and starting a little startup, releasing out Groovy and Grails. So
Nice.
Also raises a bunch of walls, and so get to know people probably help us.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm Alex. I also work with Hector at Uladzimir. Recently started using Grails. I like it so far, but
great.
Some problems, but it's great.
Are you guys Grails 2 or Grails 3? Which 2? Okay. Cool.
Straight camera, I'm actually them to the.
All right, you got the whole. This is the whole team.
This is the company right here.
I don't work with their company, but I work for Life Science. We all started a company together, and
Awesome.
so we all work using Grails now. And we're trying, our framework is Grails primarily, so that's what we're here for. So we want to get some help and get to know more people.
Sure, absolutely. Cool. Welcome.
Awesome. Welcome. Anyone else new?
But you guys over here.
Well, I'm with them too. Well, no, I'm Andrew. I'm actually with him. So strange as it is. Yeah, I'm here just to learn a new thing. I'm basically C++ programmer, but I'm looking for a new job now.
It's time to learn something new.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that forever, I guess. Yeah.
So that's one of the things.
All right, well.
My name is Maxim Krapov. I work for a company called Actian.com. It's actually an umbrella company that owns a bunch of little development shops that work on different databases. There are like total of 6 databases in a company, and some of them are big data databases, some of them are graph databases, some of them are object databases. The place I work for is.
They used to be pervasive?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working for the pervasive side of it. And most of the pervasive business is an embedded database. And actually, it's, I like to joke, it's like the original no SQL database, because most people buy the low-level API and it's just all key value. Very fast, very efficient. So I do test automation, and we basically have APIs for just about every language on the planet, including COBOL and Delphi. But also, some of the new stuff. So I kind of like to learn new languages and try different things and see what works. So we've been kind of, trying out Python quite a bit lately. I don't know. I kind of like to have more access to the low-level stuff. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Groovy, because it's a scripting language, but at the same time, you have access to all the low-level stuff. So
cool.
Awesome. Okay.
This is actually, so last comment I'll make, this from month to month, we meet once a month, but we're always polling our members, what is it you guys want to hear about? What is it you want to know? And then we will either present, or we'll try to find someone who's an expert in that topic to present. So please give us feedback. Let us know what you want. If you need to know Groovy, or if you need to know Grails, talk to us. Let us know what you want.
And if there's something that you want to give a talk about, I see this guy's raising his hand.
Yeah, please. If you get an idea, you want to actually present something. You
don't have to be an expert at it. If you just want to learn a little bit about something and kind of share what you've learned about it, we can even stack up a couple of people like that for just 10-minute, 15-minute. Get a couple of those people together for a talk, and that's a good time as well. Or we can do hackathons if we want to get together and work on something. Can do that too. So we've done all those things, but
whatever the community wants.
Either let us know or post on the comments page from the meetup what kind of things you would like, and we'll try to meet that.
You were gonna say something?
Gradle.
Gradle? More Gradle? Okay.
Yeah, I would like to second that. That sounds like a very interesting topic.
Cool. I'm trying to get, for November, I think I've got someone from JFrog coming. They do a lot of the Groovy puzzlers at the conferences, so I'm trying to get Baruch down here, and also head up maybe DevOps or the Docker group or Cloud Austin. But I need to find someone from Gradleware to come down. That's my next thing. If Luke Daly didn't live in Australia, maybe we can get here easier, but it's kind of a pricey deal. So that's good feedback.
And I would like to have one, so during the sessions, probably it would be a great idea, if you can have the best practices added to the discussions.
Oh, okay. No, that's a good. Yeah, so some people here that are new at Grails, they kind of want to do the right things, right? Instead of, oh, that was a terrible idea, now I've got to go back and rewrite all this stuff, right? So, yeah, I understand that.
Well, I know I got here late. Did you go with a great con?
I just talked about it very briefly about some of the talks and stuff, but I just recommended they go look at #GrantConf on Twitter to find all the links to the presentations, but I'm pretty sure they're all on their YouTube channel. And they got almost everything this year, so there's a lot of good stuff to watch.
Did you go? Did you make it up? You didn't
No,
go
I would have
this
seen
year?
him there if he was there.
Oh, well.
Was Gum there?
Let's see.
I picked the right year to go.
Welcome. I'm Rob. I'm Rob.
I think I killed those brain cells.
It's fine to see.
Jeff Brown was there.
Food,
The OCI guys, all the people that sponsoring Grails were there. So they were the show force of they're behind this. So. All right. Well, without further ado, then let's get our speaker Vlad here to give his talk about Groovy 2, Java 8 gotchas and futures.
Okay, most of all already know who am I. Basically, I'm just a Java developer who worked for Netspend. My previous company was developersprogram.com. We used to work with David Charlie together. This company was completely Groovy Grails based. So I spent more than 2.5 years on it. And we work with different versions of Grails, starting from 1.3 and up to current 1.3, whatever, 3.0. If you like my speech today, I can do a Gradle presentation next time because we're also using it. So at least I have some knowledge. Okay. About 14 years ago, I used to work as a part-time developer at university. One day, while traveling to my work, I met a friend, and we had a chat about the life, and I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he mentioned that his company was a research laboratory, actually. They were creating some product based on Java and XML, and he explained me his problem. This time, when it was actually the first time I heard the word Java. I know nothing about it, but the same day I went to, when I reached my office, I searched on the internet, what is Java? And the next 2 days, I spent trying to reproduce the same problem at my local computer, and actually it took me 3 days, but I called him later. He said, "You know, I solved your problem." And he told, no, never mind. We already found a workaround to decided completely avoid this, but it wasn't the end of the story. A month later, he called me and said, "You know, Vlad, we have a open Java position. Would you like to join our company?" I said, "Why not? Let's try." And this was the day when actually my journey to beautiful world of Java began. All these years, I really enjoyed Java language. I never had the idea to switch to anything else, especially like at the beginning, Java wasn't very popular language. Actually, it was used by big enterprise corporation. It wasn't really open source, but what I can say, world or market constantly evolves, and you cannot always work what you like. So if you look at the very famous picture by Redmond about languages which exist currently in the market, you can see that Java is still mostly popular. But since we have thousands of other languages, that means they have something which Java doesn't have, and so they have its own pros and cons. And did you ever think what makes Java the most popular language?
Why it used?
Yes, why it's so popular? Why are people using it?
Because it's portable on multiple machines.
What else?
Memory is free garbage collector.
Yes, what else?
It's easier to
It's a
learn.
free development tool.
Yes, but also the power of Java relies that Java and JVM is actually two separate things completely. We always think Java and JVM is the same. And do you know how many actually languages based on Java JVM exist right now, which you can go to internet, download, and start using it? Any guess?
12.
Hundreds.
248.
According to Wikipedia, right now exist about 50 plus languages already created. And of course, most of them, the most popular is Java, Groovy, and Clojure. I actually know nothing about JRuby and Jython, but I read books about Clojure and Scala as well. I can definitely say they have its own features which will be really nice to have in Groovy, let's say, or Java. But it's now out of the. By the way, one of more, how to say, it's not JVM-based language, but it's also very interesting. Have you ever heard about Erlang? Erlang, the language was developed 29 years ago, and now it's increasing in popularity because it can handle multi-threading processes like super nice. You can Google about it, and some articles say that they achieved like no problem with handling 20 million processes at the same time. And as far as I remember, OpenStack itself, cloud, is based on the Erlang language. That is just off topic. So today I'm going to show you some interesting features which like annotation and metaprogramming in Groovy. Then we slowly move to Java. I will show you how to use Groovy code from Java, because opposite it's pretty trivial. Also, I'll give you a short overview what new in Java 8, like optional values, streams, and lambdas, and then I'll briefly describe you the future of Groovy. Yes, Groovy and Java, what to expect. So let's start with the simple stuff, the simplest. Most of all already know the safe navigation. I'll try to show the Java code at the top and the same construction in Groovy. So as you can see in Java, let's say if we want to get the street from address which belongs to user, we have to do double check whether user is not null, whether address is not null, and then return some value. Groovy has a very powerful feature which is called safe navigation. Basically, you can put a question mark between the dot, and if during the question we reach to the value does not exist, it simply return null. No null pointer exception will be thrown. This is simple. I know you know about, but it's worth to mention. The next feature is actually, well, you probably saw it in C++ and any other languages. In Java, we always have to create an object if you want to return multiple value instead of integer or boolean. In our case, it's some login data like login and password. We actually have to create this object or class and then return it. In Groovy, you don't have to do it. You can simply say, I want to return value login and then password, and you'll get kind of entity it's not very nice example here, but let's say when you make a call get login, you can also say dot login or get the first argument, and you'll get this information. It's just convenient sometimes. Of course, sometimes Java is too verbose. It asks you to define the stuff you wish actually like to avoid because it takes compilation time and a lot of typing. The first annotation is canonical. How many times do you actually want to debug something in the console? Sometimes, you know, and usually in Java you have to redefine toString method to have a very nice output. Let's say in our case we have an object user which has first, last name, social security, and day of birth. So we define toString method and then we return comma separated values. In Groovy, it's easy to do by using canonical annotation. What it does, it redefines toString for you. And you can say what you don't want to show in the output. In our case, it's social security. And these two pieces of code in Java and Groovy is completely equivalent. When you
So
run.
how is this different than toString? Can't toString also do this?
Because you can do toString, but redefining toString requires you to do some coding. In this case, you basically add an annotation, and it automatically picks up all the fields in this object.
No, how is this different than the toString annotation? Can't.
toString?
Yes.
This also adds the tuple constructors to the object as well. Canonical adds the toString method and the tuple constructors. So for each one of the combinations of the variables, it'll add the constructors to the object as well. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Next one is delegate. Let's say we have a class music player. We basically it includes two objects, CD player and we SH player, and the other two classes basically show define the CD player and VHS players with methods play and play video. That's pretty simple. So as you can see, music player doesn't have the method play, but if you mark any of the object as delegate, the Groovy actually will delegate the call to music player to one of objects which mark with this annotation. And this simple example shows you if we run mp.play, it will show us CD. CD because CD player was defined first in the music player. And of course, play video will show us video because there is no such method in CD player. Sometimes it's usable. Sure, okay. Okay. Lazy. I don't know what to say about it. It's also very simple to use. Basically, when we define a lazy annotation, we say don't create an object when your parent class is instantiated. Create it only when we need it. In our case, we created two objects, Oracle connection and MySQL connection, and none of them actually exist until we call manager.mysql. During this time, exactly the object will be created. Any questions? Singleton. Likely you saw something similar in Java, at least in Java 7. We have Java HGB singleton, which almost does the same. But the Groovy has its own implementation, and trivial usage. Previously, we have to, let's say, define singleton, different methods using synchronization and so on. If you read about singleton pattern on the Wikipedia, it says there are at least 6 ways how to define it, and to actually simplify our life, it was created a notation saying, here, singleton, and it will return you a single instance all the time you connected. Scala, I think Scala, it even went further. They have how it's called, meta objects. So basically, each object or class has its own meta, and meta object always singleton. So if you want to define any method which has to be called once, I mean for single instance, you can use meta objects, but it's Scala. Type checked. For me, I think it's one of the most usable. My problem, I work for a financial company. They don't want to use Groovy at all because Groovy is too flexible, too dynamic. And of course, when you compile the application, you want to make sure that code actually works. I know it's done by unit integration test and so on, but basically, if you have dynamic methods, you cannot verify it by simply compiling the code. Type checked actually solves this problem. See, we have a string object which sets the value John, and we define method say hello, which displays hello name. If we simply use without type check annotation and say string say hello, it will display hello John. But if we actually add type check, it will fail on the compilation. The compiler says, I don't know about this method anything, so please check. And in some cases where you're working with very sensitive information, it can help you to save a lot of time and pain later. I mean, avoid pain later.
So the type, sorry, can you go back? So type check is just.
It forces
it's compile time checking of the method?
Yes. It basically forces you to use like a Java. So if no methods defined, it complains about.
Basically, what it's saying, if you use any meta programming,
yes,
it's not going to work.
Yes. Karin. Karin helps us to avoid unnecessary coding. Let's say we have we defined write log closure, which takes 2 parameters, date and text. And instead of writing all the time write log new date and some message, as you can see here twice, we can do a Karin. Basically, we predefine one variable, one parameter in this case, and if by making write log carry new date, we actually say that the first parameter will be date, new date always, and then log will take a single one, which is simply text. So basically, you pass one parameter versus 2 all the time, and when you use carry, it's always the first one from the left. If you want to do the same from the right, you have to use R carry, right carry.
Question.
Yes.
Would that trigger a new date every time you call it, or would the date be static after that?
As far as I know, the closures and so on work they provide the value when you actually use it. So it means even if two records at the same time, it will be difference in few milliseconds between them, or nanoseconds.
There's another question over here.
I had actually absolutely the same question.
Memorization. Sometimes we have a very, how to say, long operation, or basically methods which consume a lot of CPU or other resources, and we have to call it multiple times, sometimes even using the same type of arguments. We can actually simplify our life by caching these results. So in our case, we define the closure, my closure, which takes an integer. And it simply prints my closure argument, its value. When we make a call .memorize, we actually tell the Groovy save the values in the cache. And when we make 4 calls, one is 3, 4, then 3 and 4, actually this closure will be used only 2 times, because compiler actually, Groovy actually knows what is the result of it. Memorize has a additional attribute max cache size, where you can tell the Groovy how many values you're going to keep.
Sorry, you're just exchanging memory resources for instead of CPU resources, basically?
Yes. And string lazy evaluation, basically it was a question you asked about carry, when do we get the date? I decided to introduce, show this example because I don't think it's a very, valuable, but it's good to know. If you define something, like in our case, who jumps over what, and pass the value, the defined value who or what, it will be injected only when you use this string text. So the next time you define, in my case, dog fence and cat mouse, you always see the different results, because in this case, text is like a template. Now question to you. How many ways do you know to inject a method into a class or object in Groovy? Okay, so I'll show you a few of them. Few next slides will be the examples. Next few slides will be based on manipulation with social security number. The simplest way, which I think everybody knows who works with basic meta programming and Groovy, is using expander meta class. So the example at the top, basically when we take the class to which we want to inject the method, we call meta class and define the method name. In our case, it's to social security, and since no value has been passed, we basically say what is the result. Delegate means because we are going to use value from the string. not as a parameter, but like a parent of it. And the syntax is simple. String dot to social security, it will display you nicely formatted social security number. We can also do a static injection. Basically, it's the same, except we have to add a static world after meta class. And as you can see, instead of using a delegate, it will be a value, which is passed as a closure. Because when we call static object, it doesn't really have a value. I mean, yes, doesn't have the value, and we using parameters. Make sense?
So is it here doing something like formatting of the SSN?
Yes, it's going to display you like
Yeah, the
dash.
second one is, yeah.
So it will be 1, 2, 3 dash numbers here. 2 numbers and 4.
Using the range, Groovy range.
7, 8, 9. This is basically displaying you such string. Simple formatting. It's just examples how to use it about actually what we are producing here.
Just to be clear, that in the string, the $sign and then the curly brackets is a substitution pattern. So whatever that represents will be substituted into the string. And then the other characters are just added to it.
Okay. Another way, it's method injection. Also, it does the same. It basically produces a nice output for social security. But this time we don't define the method exactly for particular class. We define like a utility class. And by using use utility class, Groovy automatically add this method to every object which will be used within this brackets. It doesn't mean it will be injected to string. If we, let's say, use something else like integer or integer value of, it will inject to integer too. So it's like general method.
Is it a trait? So getting a trait.
Yes.
So is like the main reason for this so you don't pollute your other classes, basically?
I'm not polluting it always. I'm polluting one string in
No, I
this
mean
case.
before though, like compared to the one before. Before you were like injecting it in every string, right?
Every method has own cons and pros. Sometimes it's simpler to use expanded meta class. Sometimes you use this one. But also, it's a good point. We actually can limit to a particular class we want. So let's say when we define the utility class, we use a category annotation, and we say inject only to string classes. And if we have a, let's say again, integer value of basically integer usage, it won't be injected.
And if your string already has a method to SSN, is it going to overwrite it?
Actually, I don't remember. Do you remember?
I don't know.
I think it's the last one.
No, sorry, don't remember.
I can say it overrides based on the.
Yeah, I would think it would. Yeah. That would be my guess. But that sounds like a good Groovy puzzler.
It's a Java picture, so it gives us a JVM, so for which sure.
It's possible.
The basic principle will be my reject. It is not overriding.
Yeah, I agree.
So the networks actually inject a method to a specific instance. So let's say we want to inject only the first string, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, to a certain method, but skip the another one, we can use again expand the meta class, define this method, and we must call initialize in order to make it working. And the only way to tell the compiler, please inject this method, is actually say that meta class is expand the meta class. Yes.
And which one do you like the best?
Which I like the best?
Yeah.
In my practice, we usually use the very first one.
How do you organize that? Like letting people know that you've added this new meta class that people can use?
You know, usually you don't want to add this particular method to everything. You inject into very specific cases to specific classes and sometimes likely within a method. So you have a class, you injected a method, you did something with it, and when it's came out from the method, it forgot about it. So it's not permanent injection.
Probably not something you would build a framework with. Something you build a specific application. You want to modify a framework or something.
Metaprogramming gives you a lot of flexibility, at the same time a lot of problems with troubleshooting it. So usually people say use it, but when it's really required.
Doesn't Grails though have a lot of metaprogramming, like all those dynamic finders? Isn't that basically metaprogramming?
Sure, magic loaded.
Yes. But you know, it's like a core and it's heavily tested and so on. Plus, have you tried and troubleshoot it sometimes? It's a problem. It's a big problem. Another way, using mixins. Basically, it's the same as with what was the previous one? With category, yes. But this time you define that this method will be injected into a particular class. Let's say here we actually define utility class, and then while executing our code, reach to a specific block of it, and we're saying within this brackets, please use it, please add this to social security number method. But in this case, we are defining it globally. So this to social security will be always injected into a user object.
Another way of thinking about it is kind of like multiple inheritance. A mix-in was the Groovy's attempt at the Groovy 2's attempt at getting around the single inheritance chain that Java imposed. So you could mix in another class and create multiple inheritance chains.
You are correct. It's kind of multiple inheritance because mixing is actually allows you to use a list of the classes which will be kind of inherited. And if you can see example, mixin, it uses utils and my custom utils. So user will have all the methods defined in these utility classes. And in the case of collision, the last one wins.
In the latest version of Groovy, by the way, they've abandoned mixins and gone to traits. Mixins has some problems that they couldn't solve, so they basically abandoned that construct and went to the concept of traits, which is a language feature now and not a annotation feature.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody ever run into those problems? Like, what are the problems?
Just mixing.
Yeah. Does anybody know?
Well, the mixing is basically when you mix, you get into problems. So I can't remember the specific details, but it's basically when you start mixing in multiple mixins, and they start colliding in namespace issues.
So just use straight throw those if you can.
Well, in the latest version of Groovy, you just want to use
We
straight.
still use mixins and Grails though for the functional testing. There's no replacement for that.
Is that in Grails 3 too?
Yes.
So Java 8 now allows you to do multiple inheritance, but for interfaces. But previously we also can say implements interface A, interface B, but in Java 8 interfaces can have the real implementation. So multiple inheritance is possible. I don't know whether it's a good feature or not, but so far what I read about it looks nice. Extension. Another way, actually, to inject a method to Social Security is change Groovy development kit itself. So basically, we're going to extend it, saying that string object has this class to Social Security. First way is define how to use to Social Security from a regular string, and the second one is how to use for static strings. I'm not sure how many times you're going to extend GDK just to solve the particular problem, but let's say if you're developing plugins or you run into really big problem which you cannot solve other way, and it requires you to modify the current GDK, actually simple. And 3 lines at the end, they show what we actually have to do to use this extension. We have to update meta info and set which classes are going to handle this particular case. Any question on it? Okay. Another way is to use dynamic classes. Dynamic class is basically almost the same as expander meta class, but this case is expander. We don't have an object user here. We define it on the fly. By saying new expander with and its object dynamic, we can define new fields, new methods, and so on. In our case, we define one field, Social Security, and we define method get Social Security number, and of course, then we can use the method user and get a nicely formatted Social Security number. But the main point that class user does not exist. I want to show you example when it can be useful. For example, we have a simple file users.dat which has 2 fields, name and Social Security. So basically, it's a list of persons, John and Paul. If we create a very simple code like this one, so first line is defined method which is going to display Social Security, then we read the file itself, the second line, def props equals data split. It uses the first row here, name and Social Security, to define the properties in our dynamic class. And of course, data.collect and this, let's say, cycle inside, it basically parses this file and assigned corresponding properties to specific field. So it takes the first one assigned to a name and second one and assigned to social security. And at the end, user to social security, we say that the new dynamic object will have this method, which we define at the top, and simply showing users, for each users, we can now call to social security number. It will print us the content of this file, but without the first line. So it will be, and of course, no names, but nicely formatted social security numbers. Method inspection. Another way to do injection, actually to use a hybrid approach. If we implement, if our class implements Groovy interceptable, this method, this interface defines invoke method, which takes two parameters, name and arguments. And each time we make a call to this object, let's say we say account transfer money, invoke method will be called before transfer money. And in our case, we do a simple check. If it's not check balance, basically we have only two methods, transfer money, check balance. So if not check balance, then invoke check balance. And then it will be method. The method itself will be invoked. Let's give this part as an example. It's not so important. Of course, it's not very convenient because you have to say that account implements Groovy interceptable. You can do it easily by redefining invoke method, again using expander method class. So as you can see in our case, class account is simple. We have only two methods as before, and the rest is gone. It's basically defined somewhere else in your code. But it does the same part, except in this case we have to use delegate. And the previous one, we're using this references. The only difference. This is let's imagine you have a you're working on a project where some of your developers is not very, let's say, they don't like to follow coding standards, and they like to produce code simply like this. Class A, you do something, parameter A, which you have no idea what is it, and define in another method, let's say B. How you can prevent it from happening? Actually, Groovy can help you to solve this problem, and we can implement the very simple code checker, basically in 3 minutes, by using abstract syntax tree. So we can define our code checker class, which implements abstract syntax tree transformation. And we have to say that this class have to be used during semantic analysis. So basically, it will be used before compiler start compiling the code. The first iteration, which scans the code, scans the Groovy script. This method, this interface defines only one method, which is visit, and takes two parameters. What it actually does in this case, it says that for every class, please use our custom class visitor, and provides like source file or source unit in our case as a parameter to it. How custom class visitor actually looks? It's also very simple. Custom class visitor has to implement Groovy class visitor interface, which defines 5 methods. One of them is visit method, and the rest 4 is visit class, visit constructor, visit field, visit property. As you can see, the first line is just variable, field, and global variable, then a constructor, and the method which takes node. Basically, node is in our case, it's, let's say, dev do something A, this is node, or dev B user, this is node. So what it does, it takes node, it takes its name, in first case to be do something, and it checks if the method name is less than 3 characters, then produce the error saying method should be at least 3 characters. I skip the rest of the example, but you can do the same, like node parameters each and validate each parameter that it matches your criteria. So if it, let's say, less than 3 characters, it will throw you exception again. Then when you try to compile the application using the previous bad example, you get something like this output saying class A cannot be compiled because at line 6:16 method B is not valid. It has to have at least 3 characters long, 1 error. I skip the rest just to make it simple, but this code checker actually prevented you from, or help you to identify that the bad code was committed in your repository, and you can always look who it does and said, don't do it. Yeah. I think it's helpful stuff. So why I was trying to mention abstract tree syntax, because actually using it we can do methods injection as well. Few slides before we had the class account which defined transfer money and check balance. By using abstract tree syntax, during the scanning and produces it's not actually already Groovy script, it's something intermediate between Groovy script and bytecode, but when we run it, this class will find the this example shown will find the account class, this line, then find method transfer money, and it will inject the method into the code. So basically, if you kind of look at the final source code, the check balance method will be injected to the first line inside of transfer money method. And what does it mean when you compile your code and you get the bytecode already? Bytecode contains this method calls. It's like permanently injected. This is helpful, for example, if you want to use this bytecode in Java and you don't want to use meta programming, or you cannot use actually. So the problem with this example that the balance call is not really readable for a programmer. It's defined some statements, variables, and argumental expression. It can actually be done much easier by using IST builder. IST builder built from code. This part is actually the code you want to inject as this. So in our case, as a check balance method call, you can type how many lines you want, basically create a simple stuff here or even complicated, it depends on you, but it gives you much more flexibility to inject. But output will be completely the same. Now, using Groovy from Java, as you can understand, using Java from Groovy is not a problem because I would say, compatible. Groovy understands Java syntax at least before Java 8. When we're using bytecode, it's even simpler because they use the same word basically. But the interesting stuff, when we actually want to use Groovy from Java, and there are two cases. When we want to use by code created by Groovy, or when we want to use a real Groovy scripts. Even it sounds easy to use bytecode. There are some tricks. For example, Groovy can define the method like this one, move and the parameter closure, or another one with two parameters. One is int value, another one closure. There is no closure in Java. So what are you going to pass in this case? And as far as you remember, closures in Groovy actually it's implementation of the call method. So it means we can do the same in Java. Groovy class, it's a class from previous slide, just example. And in our case, we want to make a call to move method. And you can see we basically define a new object, and we simply define call method where its implementation is our closure. It's pretty simple, but it helps us with this dynamic stuff, with closures. The same if you want to use another one example, the second method, I think, was it shift or something else? Yeah, it was shift. Yes. So we want to use shift method with two parameters. The first one is the integer value. We have to say that the call method takes a parameter in, and it will help us to execute the code which compile for Groovy. Another problem when we want to use Groovy source code in the Java without bytecode. Oh no, even before. Another problem, sometimes methods doesn't exist because we like to use method programming, and method simply simply doesn't exist to define like a method missing method defined by redefining method missing method. Yeah, I'm like 100% sure if you work with Groovy for some time, you did at least at once to redefining it. But also we can tell from Java to invoke the method which doesn't exist by using invoke method, saying what we want to call and providing parameters. So a minute ago I was trying to describe another problem that sometimes we want to use Groovy script itself without pre-compilation to bytecode, and it's still possible in Java. GSR223, it's implementation like bridge between JVM and other languages, which actually helps to build all the stuff which I showed you in the beginning, like 50 other languages is mostly based on this implementation. So how to use Groovy? It's simple. Basically, we have to define script engine manager, which is I think since Java 7, it's a part of JDK already. You don't have to include additional libraries. Just say import Java script, use this script engine manager. Then it says which language we're going to use, Groovy, and engine.eval. And here is a script, Groovy script, which you want to execute. I just showed you print hello, but it can be more complicated. You can actually read huge Groovy files and evaluate. Very usable stuff. Sometimes like Groovy has a nice library and you cannot use it in Java, but using 3 previous approaches, you can do a hack and run it if you.
Recall how you specify which version of Groovy to use?
I don't remember it.
I remember.
Sorry. I will say something here, but this presentation was created like about 2 months ago. I forgot already a lot of the stuff which I wanted to say, but I wanted to point that when we run Groovy scripts into the Java, sometimes we run into the problems with like slightly different syntaxes, like for closures. For example, in Groovy, this brackets, it's a closure in Java anonymous class, so it can handle sometimes it basically leads to a problem, but skip this. Oh, sorry, I showed it. Do you remember, since we already started talking to Java, let's talk about it a little bit more. Do you remember what is called the $1 billion mistake? It's yes, null pointer exception. The problem which was created in 1965 by Hoare in the part of this language. Basically, this guy defined a null entity, and he thinks, and a lot of other people think that it was a huge mistake for us because we're dealing with null pointer exception on daily basis, and it consumes money, time, and so on. So Java actually tried to solve this problem by introducing optional feature. For example, this class, computer which contains a sound card, how we can actually tell that the sound card is optional? Before Java 8, it wasn't possible, but in Java 8, now we can simply surround it by, say this optional object with the type sound card. Of course, it produces even more verbose code than before, and when I read it, first time read about it and thinking, wow, Groovy is so nice, they have a safe navigation, will help us a lot of problem, and Java architects intentionally decided not to implement it. I thought, why? It was so convenient. But then I realized, yes, it's a great feature, and I'll show you why. I'm not saying the Groovy better, Java better. I'm saying when I understood streams, I understood why they did it, and it was good. So this slide shows you 3 ways how to define the optional element. First one is simply say optional.empty that element is empty, but the other 2 is more important because one, when we say optional.off, it tells that optional is not null value. And for you, like developer, sometimes it's not very available, but as a consumer, let's say, of API of the third-party library, it's really helpful because when compiler is executing the code and reaches this point and sees that sound card is empty, it basically will throw exception inside of third-party library saying, yes, it's internal problem, it's not yours. But you know, when you get optional as an end user or end consumer, you always know about this data. You never have to guess, is it not null or, I mean, is nullable or not nullable. You cannot see the implementation, but results always for you the same. In the third one, it says that yes, this optional value can or may hold a null value. I mentioned a postscriptum here. When you use, let's say, soundcard.get, and there is no value, it will throw you no such element exception. Just a reference. So what it gives us? The classic way how we check right now is it null or not, basically saying if soundcard is not null, then do something. The new way, they ask us to use if present value. And system out print is a method reference. It's out of our scope. I'll explain or a little bit more about later. Basically, they want to use optional mostly in terms of streams by using if present. Of course, we can use like hybrid approach, the previous one, if soundcard is present. So it's a different if present and is present. And basically, it does the same as the first example, but we don't check with null value. It does instead of so instead of typing is not manually, it does automatically for us. So now the main benefits. Before we had to use like first line, if soundcard is not null, then return soundcard, otherwise create a new soundcard object. Groovy has its own, it's called LS operator. If you're familiar with it, it simplifies this construction. Basically, if you say is not null, column question mark, and then you define this value, so you don't have to repeat this one because it knows that you're going to return the value which you just checked. But in Java, using optional, now we have 2 methods, or else thrown. So saying if soundcard exists, it will return this soundcard, maybe soundcard in this case. Otherwise, it actually executes what inside of brackets. So it will create a new soundcard. And in the third line, it will throw an exception.
What is the maybe part of that? Like, is that just part of the optional syntax?
No, maybe it's just variable name.
Oh, okay. So it would have been defined
So
like line before.
let's say if I rewrite this example using the previous slide, it will be cs soundcard dot or else. And I still want to show you why optional is useful later. So now lambda expressions. Groovy Java finally implemented something similar to closures in Groovy. So many years already passed, and I told about it to my friend, and he was laughing at me because he's a C# developer, and C# has this like 4 more years already. So yeah, we behind the schedule, but at least we have it now. Classic example why closures is useful. Let's say we have print person older than method, which takes a list of persons and compare with the age. It's a fine, simple example, so yes, it will print it. But let's say we got a new requirement that we want to also check I missed age parameter. That this person belongs to range of age. Let's say it's greater than, I mean, he is older than 16 years and younger than 60. So in this case, we have to add additional parameter. We have to change the logic inside, saying if it belongs to this particular range, and then print it. Yeah, it's still fine, but sometimes it's not really very convenient. And let's say this implementation can change based on user input. Let's say user dynamically want to say, I want to check this field, this field, this field, and it doesn't mean that we have to pass a huge set of parameters or create its own method implementation for each case. Basically, we can use strategy pattern. So pass instead of real data, we can pass the I would say object which is going to use going to do check for you. In our case, it's check person, and check person is interface which has only one method, test. So the next one is actual implementation of this check person. As you can see, it's implement check person interface and does the logic. If it says if it's male older than 18 and younger than 25, then it returns true, and the example at the top will print it because it matches this criteria. And of course, in order to use it, we have to say print person, pass the list of the person we want to check, and the real implementation. Of course, it's more flexible, but it still requires a lot of coding. Oops, missed. What we can do, we can actually, instead of creating the implementation of check person, we can define an anonymous class and do the logic here. Sometimes because we want really simple one checker. Yes, but still we have to have check person interface, some logic. In this case, we can use lambdas, basically closures in Groovy. The next line is print person, and you can see person and list of some conditions. We don't define anything. Like we don't define implementation of test method. Java automatically knows, since this interface has only one method, it will be defined by this lambda. So this construction defines the content of test method. What do you see? It's not very nice here. The problem is we still using check person interface just to make a simple check. Java has a built-in kind of interfaces for these cases. They call predicates. So the predicate at the top, it's standard one. So I said it's like a person of type person, but basically Java.function.predicate defined as a type T. So it will it's very generic. So the previous code which we saw before, and maybe not this one. This one at the top, instead of checked person tester and do the check, do the test method, we can rewrite using the standard one predicate person test, which means we eliminated the need of usage of check person interface. So we don't have to code it completely. We can use default one. Java has more than 30 functional interfaces, and yeah, this interface we just used it's a functional interface. It's basically a reference to a function, and lambda is implementation of functional interfaces. So these 5 likely are the most common which you're going to use in the future. So one is for simple testing, one is, two of them used when you want to apply something to results, and towards the bottom when you want to accept or to be a consumer or supplier of some data. Java util function package contains all this functional interface, and then you can check by yourself later. Because some of them very interesting, some of them not. Now let's look at the example when we receive the list of transactions and we want to find the transaction which belongs to a grocery store, then sorted by value and get the transaction IDs only. In Groovy, it's simply we can simply do it because it's almost does the same by, let's say, collections.find or collect, and you provide the criteria, and then find and in brackets criteria, and then you can call dot collect whatever value you want. But this is Groovy. Java didn't have such features, so they implemented their own way, and it's uses for these streams. So instead, all the codes before, we can use the simple one stream, saying transaction, create a stream from it, and do filter by transaction type, then sort by value, and then receive, extract the transaction ID, and of course collect. Of course, many of us work with Groovy, and you can see it's almost the same. But stream has a much bigger advantage versus implementation in Groovy. First of all, about the syntax. There are 3 types of, I would say, how it's called, nodes, elements. First one is source. Then there are multiple pipelines. I only showed 3 of them, but there are much more. Since this is Groovy meetup, I don't want to spend time on it, and you can Google. And it's always at the end one terminal element. It's always only one. You cannot use it. So why Java introduced functional interfaces? Because the parameters for each of these pipelines is functional interface. So if you look at real implementation, I don't remember which of them takes what, but let's say filter test, filter is defined as predicate of type T, and its real implementation inside uses a test method, which was shown before. I hope I managed to explain it. But so the advantages. In Groovy, to get this result, we actually have to go through all transactions, do the filters and sorts and extract. When we're using streams, when let's say filter return some data, it goes next to pipeline. If no data is returned, it never goes further. So basically, the following steps are skipped. And we can instantly use benefits of multi-threading here, because streams support parallel streams. So instead of saying transaction.stream, you can say transaction.parallel streams, and your algorithm automatically will be handled by all cores that you have in your computer or server. So in a huge data, it actually, when I look at performance comparison, it gives you a huge performance benefit. But in case of a small amount of data, let's say you have 5 elements and so on, it's still nice to use just streams, because when you pass in the data between processes or threads, between cores, it requires overhead to manage all this data. So please use it, but use it carefully. And this slide, it describes a few more advantages using streams versus using the plain collection if we want to manage information. So no storage. So in example before, non-string example, we have to create temporary structures, save the data on it, and of course it has to be garbage collected later, which produces overhead. Functional in nature means that the results which we produce, the source cannot be modified by any of these pipelines or terminals. Java is going following the functional programming way now. Very, I mean, I don't say strictly, but it's trying to force functional programming style. And if you're familiar with it, it means you cannot modify the input parameters ever. So the idea with even if you want to, let's say, get a user as a parameter, and you want to set the username and return as a result of this function, you cannot return the same object. You have to create a brand new one and update, set the property, and then return. So object is never modified. Some languages like Scala is already doing it before. Lazy seeking, as I mentioned before, basically we do or code do only what is required to do. If we sort it out in the first step, it never goes to the second one. And balance optional, let's say how you can produce unlimited data in let's say infinite stream without stream itself. Now you can say, let's say integer dot what's the name? Something like infinite stream, and it's going to produce the data as soon as you're consuming it until you stop it, which is actually good, but not very. I don't think you're going to use it very often, infinite streams, but sometimes it's actually required. Next, what we're going to expect from Java in the future. This is a list of things which worth to mention, but they're not very important. So as you can see, J1 will become the default garbage collector. I think it's good because I like how it works. I like its performance. Slightly changes API for datagram transport layer security. Java docs now will use HTML5, and property files by default will be UTF-8 format. And for me, I think it's also very important that key store changes from JKS to PKSC12. At least I work with it quite frequently, and for me, it's just big progress by default. I mean, I don't have to do a lot of stuff. And JProf and JHead built-in utilities will be removed completely because Java community decided that there are more powerful utilities which you can use, and this is doesn't. I mean, like what?
There are, but are there free ones? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, even.
It's a free one that you use.
This one is a part of Java, but there are other one which is also part of Java. I forgot the name. This nice graphical interface.
Great.
David, I showed you once. I forgot the name.
So there is one like the identity analyzer.
No. It's exactly the part of Oracle GTK.
You talking about mission control that they took from JRocket?
My brain kills me. I don't remember. Sorry, guys. I'll Google after the presentation. I'll tell you. So, what can I say?
You mean the graphics that was playing the Java melodies?
No, Java melodies was party tool. So.
Taking it away to charge you for something.
Right.
No, they're not going to charge you. Not for reason they're going to charge you.
Nobody was using it. So.
We can't tell you how much it costs.
So the huge improvement will be how Java is going to handle processes. Now, when you run a Java application, it knows nothing about what's going on with the system. It knows nothing about the process and so on. So you have to use like bash command to use PS and extract this Java information. This will be built in this API. So you can stop Java, denote the all processes tree and so on, and particularly in your case, will solve the problem with one server out of order sometimes.
Is it JStack?
What?
JStack.
I don't remember, sorry, guys. I'll Google and tell. So, process API, really nice feature. Of course, it doesn't exist now, but if you go to proposal request and read more information about, yes, it will be very nice to have, because you can manage your instances easily. The next one is Java is going to implement Google SPDI algorithm over HTTP 1.1. It's already heavily in use. Maybe you're not using it every day, but it gives you huge performance, like almost how many times?
11 to 47.
Yes, it's like, let's say, in 30% on average by using HTTP communication. Of course, the WebSockets support will be built in, and this is more for front-end guys because they like it.
Demo the other day where you could click on it, it would show you the different speeds of downloading 1,000 images.
Yes. Improved content logging, mostly the stuff is used by performance tools and performance monitors, but a lot of people in the community complain they want to handle this differently, and this stuff will be included. But for us, for regular developers, it's so-so. I mean, we'll never see it except when you want to run a profiler tool in production. This will help performance. Next, Java is going to use unified logging. So that means the log produced by JVM can be used in your application as well. So you can see it, you can redirect it. Basically, it's like log4j. It will be built in Java, inside the JVM itself. Very good if you're working with low-level stuff, especially to help the guys who develop languages based on JVM, like Groovy community. Segmented code caching, they want to optimize how compiler works. So basically, it will be a speed optimization during compilation process, because they want to split in 3 different parts. Don't know details about it, but if you're interested, you can always read this information. It's available. This is a brilliant. JDK will be modular. It means you don't have to install whatever 100 megabytes JVM on your machine or mobile application, I mean mobile phone to run. Sometimes you can say, I want exactly this model, and I don't care about the rest of the stuff. Less memory consumption, more performance, and less errors in general. I would really like to see how it works. Million Coin project, it covers different stuff, but mostly about Java syntax itself. So allow safe works. Right now, Java is very weak when you're working with var args. It means you can easily perform some action which is not valid for the var args, but compiler never tells you about it because it really don't understand how it works correctly. But again, var args is not very common in Java, at least. And no, if you look at Java APIs, you can see it in many places, but in my practice, I think like it's used less than % in all code. The second item that final variables can be used in try with resource statement, and if you remember, it was introduced in Java 7. So basically, if you define try and let's say new input stream, it will be closed at the end when automatically when you it's going out of this try statement. But you can right now you cannot use final variables, but in Java 9 you're going to use it. You can use it. Diamond using for anonymous classes, I just wanted to mention it. For some, of course, it will be useful. For me, for example, it's not, but I still think it's a good feature. The huge change that Java 9 will remove underscore from the set of legal identifier names. I am not sure, does it mean that, let's say, user underscore name will be okay or not, but at least right now you can define your variable as underscore it, and Java will consume this code without any problems. Support of private methods and interfaces. This is what I mentioned today, that Java 8 actually introduced multiple inheritance in the interfaces. The problem, why they did it, Java always trying to be compatible with the legacy code, and you cannot simply change the method and add lots of parameters or change them. So they used workaround by using interfaces and allowing them to be to have some real implementation like inside the class. Of course, it has a lot of restrictions. You cannot have let's say a private global variables inside, and now you can experience the same problem like in C++. I would say diamond collision. What's the
Diamond problem.
Diamond problem, yes. So Java has the same problem now, but they created automatic resolution for this diamond problem. Basically, it defines the rule which method will be inherited from interface. Because let's say the class itself can have a method A, and interface can have the implementation of method A. What will be the result? Java strictly defines this rule, so no collisions, but you have to spend some time simply understand its internal kitchen, how it handles it. JShell. JShell, it will be a nice utility. Mostly is used for, let's say, studying language or simple script execution, because right now if you want to evaluate expression, you have to create class with a public static void main and
is it like
provide you
console basically?
Yes, it's a kind of console, so where you can simply type system print out print, let's say, and name it will be working. Let's say IntelliJ is using not the JShell but its own implementation. And you go to what's called evaluate, I think, menu, and it shows you a screen. We can type something and to see it, but this will be built in Java. Online certificate status protocol will be changed in Java 9. Right now, what's going on? When a client sends a request to a server, server has to make a call to CA, authority provider, and receive the status, whether the certificate is okay or was it revoked, and then reply to a client. This is why actually SSL handshake is slow. One of the part because of this request. And this improvement actually allows to, oh no, I think client now makes request to server. Basically, it allows server to cache these responses. So instead of doing multiple requests to CA and saying is it valid, is it valid, is it valid, it will cache this response. I don't know how much, 5 minutes, 5 seconds, whatever. But the next client, let's say, go to the server, will get a handshake almost immediately because this information already available. Java 10. Java 10, we don't know much about it, but at least 2 features it's going to be implemented. Right now, when we create, let's say, a collection, we can provide only wrapper objects like integer, integer like a class. Java 10 is going to support primitive values as well in the collection. And also is going to implement value types. What does it mean? Right now, except primitive values, every let's say value in Java is object. It's always object. But value types just mean we're going to have the values which are not object. If you're familiar with C++, construct. Construct will be the part of Java 10. Why is they doing it? Managing objects requires a lot of overhead. You cannot simply put in a stack on a heap. It's very complicated to manage it, and they want to simplify it, make it shorter usage in memory, and basically it will give us many other forms of data representation, like construct, tabs, and so on, will be here. So the syntax will change a lot. I think that's it about Java. I also wanted to mention Groovy future. You know, currently Groovy 2.4 is still in development. I look at the backlog, what they're doing. It's mostly improvements, bug fixing, and so on. But it's alive. It's still a huge community of people who supports it, who wants to see it in the future. But I also look in Groovy 3. Groovy 3 already has, like a few weeks ago, it was 37 issues resolved. Unfortunately for us, no huge improvement so far defined for this release. Mostly it's a bug fixes, which they don't want to fix in 2.4. They fix in 0.3. They also defined the Groovy 4 on the roadmap, but it's so far from now, so I've tried to extract something useful from it. I don't see it. But hopefully, let's say, in half of the year, next year, I can get you more information about it. But to my point, it's still alive, it's working, and we are going to expect new releases continuously. As a conclusion, I want to say that I highly recommend you to read these 2 books. Most of my examples about the Groovy part was taken from Programming Groovy 2 by Venkat. This is, I think, the best book on Groovy I ever read, and I read quite a lot of them. Also, right now, you can find on Amazon multiple books about Java 8. New features. I read 3 of them, and I agree with Amazon community saying that this one is the best. It's easy to read. It explains you everything which in Java 8, and you can basically finish it within 2 days. And you got a lot of knowledge. So these 2 books I really recommend. It's just the links. So hopefully you enjoy my presentation today. If you have some question, you can ask me. Hopefully I will be able to answer it. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Vlad.
welcome.
Just as a pat on our back, we actually had a VinCat here for one of our meetups a while back. So
I think there's another Groovy book that just came out recently, isn't there? That's
Groovy in Action.
Groovy in Action 2 is certainly the bomb as far as Groovy books. And apparently it's like this thick or something. I think it was a version with him and some other guys. But apparently, yeah, that one came out recently. And
The
it's
guy who talked to you last time, Ken Cousins.
Ken Cousins.
His video series is really good.
Yeah, Ken Cousins has been doing a lot of video tutorial stuff for, I think,
Safari Online.
Safari Online for O'Reilly. Okay, yeah.
And yeah, they're really good. Like,
I think he said, I was talking to him about that at GreatConf. He said that he likes doing them so much now that it's hard to go back to doing books.
He said everything.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the third one, and they're really good. They're well worth watching. If you have a subscription, like a yearly subscription, you can watch them. Basically, if you buy it free, it's like buying a yearly subscription. So.
How much is it?
What's that?
I think an individual is like 100 and something.
So I bought a Safari subscription when it was on sale for half off for a year. So it was actually pretty. It was like $100 cheaper than just buying all 3 videos. I think it was like $200. But yeah, there's a lot more stuff on Safari I wanted to also check out.
Thanks everyone in Internet land.